So I believe that as I've been painting as you know, if you've been following along, as I've been making this painting, I have described my colors as I go. And I don't know that it's warranted for me to go through each tiny area and tell you exactly what I have. Maybe what I should just do is describe the palette that I have sitting in front of me. All of these colors have been used on the painting. So, let's do that. Titanium white. Titanium white, every stroke on this painting has a little bit of titanium white in it. Sometimes just a hair, one hair on the brush, and sometimes it's mostly titanium white. Then we have cadmium yellow pale, we have cadmium yellow deep, we have cadmium orange medium, cadmium orange deep, alizarin crimson. I actually have used a little bit of cad red medium on this as well in the background just to mix into things, but very little of it. Let's see here. Oh yeah, burnt sienna. Used a lot of burnt sienna. I always use a lot of burnt sienna. I love that. And then cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and raw umber, with the exception of one tree, and that's this one, and that is almost completely Van Dyke brown, except for the highlights, which have Van Dyke brown mixed with a little bit of ultramarine blue in them. Oh heck, it only takes a second. I'll go through it. Okay, so we have yellow ochre and raw umber here in our distant upper bush that is mostly to be ignored. Hints of ultramarine blue in that as well. Getting down here into our stronger bush, it's yellow ochre, bits of raw umber, bringing in some burnt sienna, and for some highlights I've added a little cad yellow pale in places. That's here, you know, and here. And then here we've gone into here, and here we've gone into the milder oranges, which aren't really orange, they're going into the mauves. Yellow ochre, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, and white here, because you're almost going to a purple in these areas where the orange fades off. But there's very little of that. Very, very, very little blue in that. For the bulk of it, it has been cad orange medium, cad orange deep, and white, tempering it with raw umber now and then, or sometimes burnt sienna, because those cadmiums are so strong, you know, those cadmiums are they're incredibly intense, and I sometimes want to take the edge off of them and reserve their ultimate strength for, you know, areas like this, for example, you know, or here and here. And maybe the odd spot in the bush to spread it out a little bit. This tree trunk, okay, this tree trunk is raw umber and white at its core. Very little of anything else. This one, okay, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one are all ultramarine blue and burnt sienna and white. What did I miss? Okay, this trunk is raw umber, ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and a hint of white. I wanted to keep it dark. A bit of color, but not much. This main one, of course, which is something I've really changed quite a bit today. Actually, did I mention this one? This is ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, and white as well. This one is ultramarine blue, burnt sienna, as white and white. So on this trunk, I've removed a lot of detail. It was a bit of a weak form to my view, and I decided to put a little more light on it, but simplify it to keep it strong. I still wanted this to be a very important, the most important trunk really in the foreground. So I went with a much higher chroma, using very little ultramarine blue, mostly burnt sienna and white in places. and I changed the form a little bit, or I should say I refined the form a little bit, I suppose. And then came down into the grass here, and I've used ultramarine blue, yellow ochre for the most part. Now this is ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white. That's yellow. That's ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white. That's ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white. That's ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white, and a hint of cobalt blue. I wanted it to be in value similar to this, lighter than this, darker than this. But because it was close, it had to have some interest, and it needed to bump the value up a little bit. And cobalt blue makes for it's a cold blue. So I added cobalt blue to it, and that has helped to keep that quite cool. So slightly different in hue, but very similar in value. The rocks, I went in again and just laid a few strokes of, well, the rocks for starters are all ultramarine blue and raw umber and white. So I've gone into them today just laying in a few highlights, you know, just to indicate that I'm picking up not the color from here, but the light from here, reflecting off of some of these rocks. Not in the corners where you don't want that attention, but in the sort of central area, leading off the canvas a little bit, or leading off to the edge. The foliage on these trees, same thing, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and white. And sneaking in the odd bit of burnt sienna now and then. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to do zoomies in a minute, but if you can see it. But I was a little concerned about this orange mass here before. It wasn't organized in a way that seemed as plausible as it should have been to me. So I somewhat gave more variety of oranges in here, but negated some of the lines. And I used this bush to incur into this. It was almost a visual whole in a sense, by building out some of the foliage from this one, from this bush, and then adding just a few branches, twigs, if you will, heading off into it, breaking it up. I think that was very successful. I'm really happy with that now. Excuse me. So yeah, the main things that I've done today were really laying some light on these rocks, giving some variety to this green streak, and bringing some glowing light up the tree a little bit. It's a smoother tree now, which helps, you know. I don't have so many small lines in it. Gives it strength. So there was that. And getting this organized. This was a real thing that I wanted to procrastinate, because it took me a long time to figure out how to go about solving that problem. Yeah, it was a problem. It was a challenge. So that's fine. I think it's good now. All right. That was my step 6. It's going to come upstairs and live with me now. And if I see something that bothers me, without, you know, standing a foot from it and getting persnickety about it, because that's not how it's viewed. Paintings are always viewed from a bit of a distance. Certainly, impressionistic paintings are. If there are issues, I'll change it a little bit. But there's nothing major is going to happen here. If anything, it might be a little stroke somewhere or another. I don't know. At the moment, I'm just thrilled with it. Actually, I love the color. I love the impact. It's very dramatic. It's inviting. It's a place I'd love to set up. I'd like to actually walk to this edge, set up a lawn chair, and just sit there and kind of look over that little gully that's behind there. Oh well, that's if you have that sort of inviting feeling in a painting, that's, I don't know. It's just attractive. I like it. Okay, some zoomies. So that you can get some, but wait a minute, I gotta just wake my computer up. Or rather, remind my computer that it's supposed to be awake. Okay. because the lighting is much better. Even if I drop this a couple of inches, it does a great job of getting rid of glare. Glare is nobody's friend. Okay, let's start with these rocks down here. Okay, so you can see I haven't added light to everywhere on every rock, but on some of the lighter spots on the rocks I've given even lighter. You know, I've raised the value even more. And in the shade I've you know, I said it was a mixture of raw umber and raw umber and ultramarine blue. But when I went into the lighter spots, I backed off on the ultramarine blue and warmed it up with just raw umber. And then this grass here, there's some variety in it now. It seems to work pretty well. I kind of like the way this tree comes up out of the grass now. Seems to work. Smooth, but a little bit of variety in it too, you know. It's smooth, but it's not weak. I'm glad I raised the value of these boughs. I'm glad I left that in. You know, that dark slash across there. I think design-wise that worked out very well. Okay. Just the right amount of sloppiness. The right amount of what almost appears as though accidents happened. It's sort of like they're not actual accidents, but they're happy bits of strange stuff, of inaccurate strokes, because that is what makes a painting more interesting. Okay, did I even mention these two trees? This one and this one. Well, the trunk, obviously, that's burnt sienna, ultramarine, and white, ultramarine blue and white. But the foliage on those two is cobalt blue and burnt sienna and white. I've completely gone away, so a totally different blue for those, because that keeps them nice and cool, sort of a very sprucey color. I was a little concerned that there might be this blob of bluish green on the left hand side and it wouldn't be well balanced in the painting, but I think it's worked out just fine. I'm still tempted to lay a little bit of light on that trunk back there, but maybe I'm just going to wait. Sometimes waiting and looking at it with fresh eyes under living room light instead of studio light is a better idea, because that will be its final destination. Yeah, all in all, I quite like that. Very happy with it. It's funny, you know, I'm looking at it through the camera right now and I'm seeing this, what appears to be a straight line. Too much of a straight line. It bothers my eye. But I'm in my studio and when I look at it, it doesn't bother me at all. That's the discrepancy you always have. Using a camera, it's never the same as seeing the painting in real life. So tomorrow I'm going to go off to my local art store, Julianne's Art Supply, right here in Chilliwack, British Columbia. I'm going to go find another canvas or two. We'll see. But certainly at least one. I'm hoping to do more than just one more painting in my life. Anyway, guys, have a good night. We'll see you soon.